Hey, it's your old pal Slim, and this is 70mm, a podcast for movie fans just like you. And with me, as always, is my close friend and artist and podcaster extraordinaire, Danny Haas.
Hello.
And our close friend and spiritual advisor, Protolexis.
Is crime possible anymore? Stay tuned.
That's a great question.
We'll answer the question. Every episode is connected to a theme for that month, and this time it's 60s month. We'll only be picking movies from the 1960s, and Proto's pick is Akira Kurosawa's High and Low. And you can use the chapters in your podcast app to skip right to that discussion. Dustin Jackson left a review, tagged it 70mm Pod, talking about potential redemption for one of our hosts. Quote, Protolexis doing the Lord's work with this week's 70mm selection.
The people's champion.
Final boss. We'll get into wrestling talk later, folks. Don't you worry.
Can't do it now.
We'll get into it. We can't give that to the masses.
Well, hey, us.
We got a big show. It's April 4, 2024, as of recording.
4-4.
Make a wish. Later in the show, we're going to be talking about High and Low from 1963. We're going to be talking about Apex Legends, the current ranked situation.
Oh, no.
We're going to be checking in to see if Danny watched a movie this week.
It's a great question.
Times are tough. Last week, there was no movies watched from Danny. He has decided that he is not watching movies anymore. He's retired from the game. But you haven't retired from podcasting.
Oh, no.
A lot of folks listening to this show love Danny. They love Disney. They love Universal. They love theme parks. You just launched a new podcast.
Yeah.
Which we have not talked about yet.
No, we had to get through legal, make sure we could bring it up on this show at all. Launched a podcast with my dear friends Peter and Cody, where we talk about theme parks and our love for theme parks. And each week or every other week, we'll choose a ride from somewhere and talk about the history and the making of it, and if we've ridden it, if we like it, if we hate it, what would we change on it? You know. Nerd theme park talk. If you're into that, we're doing it.
What's it called? What's the podcast called?
The Yeti is still broken.
No one has tapped into this area for podcasts. When we launched this podcast, nobody was doing movie podcasts.
Right.
And it's happening all over again.
Yeah.
No one is talking about Disney.
Never.
Or theme parks.
Right.
This is a first, so congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, it was an untapped market. For a field that we love. So, so we've got 3 episodes out. We're going to be every other week, twice a month, hopefully. We got some guests lined up. Very excited about to chat with us. So,
oh my God, guests lined up.
Yeah, it's crazy, right?
Walt Disney.
Walt himself.
Unfrozen to be on the podcast. You talk about.
Talk to me.
Walt. I watched that Imagineer YouTube thing that dropped this week.
Which
the new
one?
Imagineer YouTube
the
show.
15-minute show? Yeah.
15-minute show.
How about an Imagineer show on YouTube and not Disney Plus?
Disney Plus retire UPOS.
Just get it out of here.
It's over for them.
Yeah.
Iger? I think this is the first time I've seen on video Walt's office.
Oh, really?
Maybe ever. Like I asked myself, I decided never to ask this, but I was like, is this the first time it's ever been on video? Walt's office? It looks cool. It looks awesome.
Yeah, they kept it kind of how he left it. And you can get a tour of the studios, and I think it's a part of it, but you can't, there's not much they don't really let you like chill in there.
They did a really cool thing where they were showing old footage projected over his couch. And I assume that was post-processing, but man, it would have been cool to have that office and like gather people around to watch reels in your office, like over a couch.
Yeah.
Man.
That would be super rad. He did have a piano in there, so they would write some of the music in there, which is super rad.
Proto, you have not been to Universal or Disney still. Is that confirmed?
That is still true. Yeah.
Still
That's
true.
the last time we checked in.
And we're still friends, so it's
Yeah.
possible.
Anything can happen in this day and age.
Yeah.
One of my favorite rides is the Spider-Man ride. It's top three.
Tier.
Top 3.
Easily.
Top 5. The CGI, the special effects are still, I love it. I mean, now it's been updated for HD and whatever, but it's a lot of fun.
Always a lot of fun. The that 4K update's been magical.
Oh,
Magical.
my God. One day we'll get Proto out there.
Oh my God.
You know, every time you guys talk about it, right? It's like you could be creating a new ride. You're just making things up. There's like 150 rides at this place. A Spider-Man ride. Never even heard of a Spider-Man ride. Oh, it's the best ride. What are you talking about?
How much walking
Proto.
could you do? Like, are you a big walker? Like, if we did like a week stay in Florida.
Oh
Me?
my God.
Yeah.
I was born to walk. I could never stop. No limit to my
His
walking.
feet are moving under his desk right now.
Do you have one of those like
I have a sitting
treadmills?
treadmill. Yeah.
Sitting treadmill.
That's an untapped market right there. The sitting treadmill market. My God. Everyone's calves gaining exponential weight under that desk. Well, listen to Danny's pod. The art obviously is fantastic. There was a piece of physical art created by Cody.
Cody, my God.
Golly.
Miniature extraordinaire.
Cody makes me sick.
Yeah, he's disgusting.
Casey in chat, your lovely wife. Have you ever walked in 100% humidity, Proto? Have you ever done it?
Well, that's a great thing about New Jersey is even though we're further up, we get every version of weather possible. So we get 100% humidity up here. So I have walked. I have walked in those in that environment.
There you go.
How about the weather we've been having recently, Proto? How about this rain? You getting this rain over there?
The standing water in my backyard, I'm about to call
Somebody?
who's in? Is it Pete Buttigieg? Is he in charge of water?
In charge of water.
Gotta make some calls. Something is wrong.
Water insider Pete Buttigieg.
We'll hear more about Pete when we do our live 70mm election night special in Discord. We'll be reading off the results. It's going to be an amazing night. We have to continue to innovate, and that's going to be
Mark
one
your
for the
calendars.
books. Let's say hello to some new patrons that joined this week. Chris, I wrote Gander, but I feel like that wasn't what I actually originally wrote. So I'm just going to say Gander, Xander, Chris, Kevin, Diego, Oscar, and Katie all joined this past week among many free members, but the paid members get access to our Discord, discounts on merch. There's a sexy little hat that I saw added to the store at some point recently that I plan on purchasing. And more importantly, got access to our VHS Village 70mm vault with exclusive episodes that are only available for patrons. Proto, did you watch any movies this week?
Yeah, I got to watch a big one.
Oh.
Me and Jenna, this is 2 weeks in a row now that we've had a movie date at home.
Damn.
Last week it was
Golly.
Clueless. This week she picked Gone Girl.
Oh, that's a big
God.
one.
Yeah.
Big one.
Fincher, oh God.
His best?
Some are saying.
Some would say.
Zodiac
I've heard that.
Retire.
Yeah. I mean, I'd put this above Zodiac for me personally.
I
Pretty
agree.
sure.
I think I agree.
Yeah, we watched the trailer. I don't think I had watched the trailer. I felt like I knew a lot about this movie just from talk that you hear.
Culture.
Discourse.
Yeah, the discourse is everywhere. We watched the trailer and she was like, we were halfway through and she's like, just turn it off and turn it on. So we did. And I had a fantastic time. For those that don't know, Ben Affleck is married to Rosamund Pike, and she goes missing. And he gets the police involved, and they're not sure what's going on. You don't really know what's going on, and things start to happen. And you really don't want to say any more because
Yeah.
This movie is such a fun ride. I just had like the best movie watching time. See, as there's twists and turns, it goes, and then the twists are kind of, they're like 180s. You're not even on the off ramp. You're not even going into the roundabout. You're like off-roading. You better have all-wheel drive where David Fincher's taking you, because it's getting wild. So yeah, I couldn't recommend this movie enough if you're just looking for a good time, a fun time, and the acting's great. I said in my review, I just love Ben Affleck as an actor.
Yeah.
He's such a natural actor.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it doesn't even look like he's acting. He just looks like he's living his life, and he just happens to be on a set of a movie. So, it's probably the best movie I've seen all year. You have 4 stars.
I remember, I feel like I had like a panic attack. Is there a scene where one character who's like a bartender says that she has like $40,000 in savings?
Yeah.
It's like, oh my God.
You know what? So I was thinking about this because I saw that review from you, and you gave Gone Girl 3 stars.
Did I? I didn't think I rated that. I thought that was a no rate job.
It has 3 stars on here. Yeah, maybe you fat fingered it. But I thought maybe this was like for Letterboxd or something, because the fact that you didn't know that the bartender was his sister made me feel like maybe you had this on, side-eyeing it, not giving it the full attention. Is that true?
Is there no tag on the review? Usually I tag it if it's for something specific. I can't imagine why I would have watched this if it was not for the Letterboxd show, to be honest.
Yeah. Maybe you have to go back. Maybe you have to.
Maybe time for a rewatch for Finch.
Missing Women Month.
I can't. We're already getting raked over the coals for loving Steven Spielberg too much and not knowing what French New Wave is. And now we're going to dedicate a month to missing and presumed dead women. Where else can we go wrong? There was another movie. What about, you logged Jumanji.
Oh, yes. Yeah, so we watched the original with Robin Williams, rest in peace, from 1995. We watched that last week, and then we attempted to do another family movie night last night and watched the remake, Jumanji: Welcome to the Jungle, starring Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, Jack Black, Karen Gillan, and Kevin Hart.
Yeah.
I had seen this before. I fell asleep 30 minutes in. Yeah, I remember thinking I liked this. I didn't have a rating for my first viewing, and I thought I liked it, but Jenna was getting very angry.
Oh.
She was like, this movie is so, like, she was like, they don't make them like they used to. Huh?
Yep.
They don't make them like they used to. This is so boring. What's even happening? She was pissed. But that's what you get. You know what the craziest thing though is, this movie came out in 2017. That means it's 7 years old.
Stop.
I don't even understand how that's possible.
This might even be crazier, but I watched Tango and Cash this week. First time since Letterboxd usage. And it reminded me of Hobbs and Shaw a lot.
Uh-huh.
Hobbs and Shaw came out in... I might have to confirm this. Hobbs and
I need you to
came out in 2019. Is that real?
What?
Hobbs
What
and
year is it?
Hobbs and Shaw came out in 2019.
Can you
Folks,
slow down?
I couldn't get over it. The last 5 years are a complete blur.
No.
No.
I can't even, yeah.
Yeah, just let, you see this on social media, let that sink in, folks. Trademark symbol. Let that sink in. We need to
I was going to say 2012. If you were to ask me what year Hobbs and Shaw came out, I probably would have said 2012.
It's like anything from 2019 to today. It could be
Who knows?
15 years ago, for all we know.
Yeah.
We need to talk about the final week of the month for 60s month. We have a free space at the end of the month. We have a guest coming on next week, Mitchell Beaupre of Letterboxd. Disclaimer, I'm a Letterboxd employee as well. But we have a free space at the end of the month. We're going to do a vote on our Patreon, and we are going to reveal the options for the vote right meow. They're going to be made up of our Plan B picks for this month. So I don't know how this happened, but I have 2 picks again. I feel like this is some kind of like
No one knows.
subliminal troll job from Danny and Proto, but
We don't get it.
one of my picks is going to be The Sound of Music. That will be an option in the vote. Okay? Rock of the vote, vote or die for 60s month. My Plan C pick, which is also in the poll, we're going to be 4 options. It's going to be Targets, which I mentioned last week, I think, or the week before. Proto, what's going to be your entrance into the vote?
My pick, I mentioned it as my Plan B, is Spartacus from 1960, Stanley Kubrick.
It's a big one.
What's the length?
Not streaming anywhere.
3 hours.
VHS only.
It is not double VHS. You can rent it, folks. Spartacus, 197 minutes.
Yeah.
Wait,
Somehow-
how long is Sound of Music then?
Somehow only half the time of Sound of Music.
Look at the cod piece on Douglas.
Show
in
me
this
the cod.
backdrop.
You got it.
Everyone get your
gotta see the
glasses
cod.
ready.
My
What is going on
God.
down there? He's got a load in his diaper in Spartacus.
Backup unit.
I mean, what is going on set?
My
They're filming
God.
so long that he's literally using a diaper. This is
Jeez.
Spartacus is longer than The Sound of Music. It confirmed right now. I'm just
Oh
looking at
my
the time.
Alleged.
It's confirmed.
You can't do the math.
The iTunes negative review we're going to get for me making
know.
fun of Douglas's underoos in Spartacus. Let me live, folks. We're having fun here. Danny, what's your pick?
Well, Sound of Music was a backup, sort of, but I was leaning towards Mary Poppins. But you picked Sound of Music, so I'm not going to throw Julie Andrews all in our face for this pick.
Yeah, save for Missing Women's Month. God forbid we focus on women for more than one movie.
Yeah, so then I'm going to go with two men movie. Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid is a movie that I've wanted to cover for the pod. I've actually never seen it. So yeah, it's Robert, it's Paul, something for the ladies and
Yeah.
the men.
This poster's out of sight on Letterboxd right now.
Mm-hmm.
Streaming for free on the Roku channel, if that influences your vote at all. I know we have a lot of Roku heads out there.
Yeah.
Hillary in chat, Sound of Music and Butch Cassidy are my mom's top 2 fave movies in the world.
Yeah, and Hillary's mom is a guest on that week.
Stay tuned.
Crazy.
So we'll have, as of this episode releasing, we'll have a poll going up Friday, April 5th on our Patreon to vote. I watched a Robert Redford movie this week, believe it or not. Yeah, 3 days
you
of the
watched
Condor. There needs to be a full investigation into Robert Redford's hair in that movie.
He's incredible.
It's something else. I'm not sure if it's CGI or some kind of animated cell shading, but it's gorgeous. 70s spy thriller stuff. I don't even know why I watched it, to be honest. I'm not sure if it popped up on an app. Maybe.
Oh, you just did it for fun. Okay.
did it for funsies.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been off the movie watching train for so long since Amanda has been, not in the mood.
Yeah.
I don't even know how to pick movies anymore. Like I'm so like I'm cold.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I'm opening apps. I'm scrolling through each one for like 5 minutes. I have a watch list, but
Yeah,
it doesn't work. Can't do it.
Somehow it doesn't work. How about his Bronco in that movie?
It actually was a stolen Bronco, but it's still gorgeous. It wasn't his technically. It was Faye Dunaway's. He has. I mean, did you see the winter coat that he's wearing in this movie?
I know.
With the
I
collar.
know. His look in this movie is unreal.
We talk about the 60s as like a timeless decade, but Robert Redford, 1975.
Mm.
Although he does wear one of those like gaudy, thick leather band watches. You know, that's like, it's like 5 inches wide and it's got a watch attached to it.
Yeah.
And I can't get into those things.
Yeah.
It's too much.
Something Scott Stapp wore on stage.
Yeah. Very, very true. What else did I watch? I also watched Tech War, William Shatner's Tech War on YouTube.
God.
I mean, that's like where I'm at, really. Where I'm finding things that are just being recommended to me on YouTube for free.
In a dark place.
I thought I was in a dark place.
And this is like William Shatner has his name attached to this property called Tech War way back when. Post Star Trek, he wants to kind of create his own little sci-fi IP. And he has this guy ghost write a book called Tech War. It's like where it's the future, but people use technology and like tech cards as drugs, essentially. Like it's a pretty cool idea, but the movie is really TV. It's like Canadian made for TV.
Oh no, you did not just.
I love. Everyone knows I love Canada.
God.
I love Canadians. I love hockey, but around this time frame, the quality is very low.
I like how his head is just floating there on the poster. Disembodied head of William Shatner.
Very strange time. I mean, a lot of stuff. I also almost watched this Nick Nolte movie that I have in my watch list called Weeds. It has maybe my favorite poster in my watch list. I'll drop a link in chat here.
What? Oh, that Nolte poster. My gosh.
I didn't realize that this is on YouTube, but it's like sub 480p taped off HBO. And I couldn't even do it. It was some rough stuff. And this one is like never available. I'm not sure what's going on with like the stuff that was on HBO around this time. Nowhere to be found for rent anywhere.
Looks like James Dean, this poster.
Oh my God. Look at that jacket. Okay. Anything else we want to talk about before we get into high and low?
I mean, I did watch something this week.
No.
Can we pause?
What?
I have been getting the itch to go on a bender, another Hitchcock bender, and watch a bunch of Hitchcocks. Mainly because of Julie Andrews. I didn't realize that she had done a movie with him. Her and Paul Newman did a movie called Torn Curtain. So I'm going to fire that one up soon. But I watched the documentary Hitchcock Truffaut. And it's a documentary that came out, I think, in 2016, more recently, but it's about Truffaut's book that he wrote in 1966 when he interviewed Hitchcock for like 8 days on the Universal Studios Hollywood lot. So the book is the interview and photographs and going through kind of Hitchcock's movies and stuff. The documentary is like a documentary on the book. So it kind of has audio clips of Truffaut's interview with Hitchcock and photographs, but it also interviews Martin Scorsese, Paul Schrader, Wes Anderson, Dave Fincher. It's kind of them also talking about the brilliance of Hitchcock. So it's a really interesting watch just to see, because we talk about like Dave Fincher and, you know, his kind of films are very, you know, he talks about how he got the Hitchcock Truffaut book as a kid and was flipping through and looking at psycho photos and all the stuff as a child. And it's like, oh yeah, you can see Hitchcock's kind of presence in Dave Fincher's work. But yeah, it was just fun to hear Scorsese talk about him. It was fun to hear Wes Anderson talk about Hitchcock. Hitchcock is on my Mount Rushmore. I love his films. So, yeah, it was a great little documentary to watch. I really loved it.
Welcome back.
Thank you. I'm back.
Did you hear the news about Denis Villeneuve working with Legendary on his next picture, his next show?
I have every iteration of his name muted on every social media platform, so I have no idea what you're talking about.
His next show is going to be Nuclear War. You read this book, Pardo? You heard about this book?
It's a book?
It's a book. It's a nuclear war, a scenario. Examines the handful of minutes after a nuclear missile launch. It is essential reading. Wait, that's just a random snippet I'm reading. I don't know.
Is this even real?
I guess it came out fairly recently. Oddly enough, I was watching Office Hours Live today, Tim Heidecker's weekly streaming live show. He said it was the scariest book he's ever read.
Really?
Okay.
Yeah. So I think
we could trust him.
I have no reason to doubt
Okay.
my hero, Tim Heidecker.
Was he in character?
He was not in character. This was the post show just for patrons, giving his recommendations.
Okay.
So apparently this book goes through the realistic scenarios if a nuclear missile has just been launched and what happens after. So it's for Spotify premium members, you can listen to it. So I plan on doing that.
Oh.
Fire it up and maybe listen to it.
I mean, I watched Oppenheimer. Do I really need?
Yeah, that's what I was just about to say.
I mean,
I don't need to go through this again.
I don't know. I'm not sure how many nude scenes are in Nuclear War, a scenario where Oppie is just hanging out.
Did Oppie do nukes? What are we talking about?
No, he did nudes
Nudes.
in the movie.
Oh.
He was nude.
New Gilair War.
There are truly no winners in Nude Giller War. Okay, we got to get into High and Low, episode 213 from 1963. It's 60s month. For those just skipping right to this discussion, welcome. We just had a killer nude nuclear war joke.
You missed it.
One for the books, so rewind if you can. But this is Proto's pick. What's this movie about?
Kingo Gondo is making moves. An executive at National Shoes, his colleagues present an idea to band together to gain control of the company. But Gondo has his own plans. Having mortgaged all he owns, he has gained enough shares to complete his final triumph. But on the eve of completion, a kidnapper has mistakenly kidnapped his driver's son. Reluctantly, Gondo pays the ransom with the promise that the police will recover it. What follows is a game of cat and mouse, preparation versus collaboration, as the police race against time to find the kidnapper.
Wow.
I like it.
Goodness.
Okay.
Missed that bit.
Kurosawa's back on the pod. How many of his pictures have we done? We've done Ran,
This is 3. 2.
Seven Samurai.
Seven
3.
Samurai. And that's it.
That's it.
I think that's it, yeah.
Okay.
Number
We did
3.
more.
Yeah, see, we don't only do Spielberg on this podcast.
We have a pin. We did a pin for Kurosawa, didn't we? At one point
Oh,
in
yeah.
our long history.
Yeah.
I don't have any history for this movie. I've never seen it before. This is the first time viewing. I know that many podcasts in our orbit have covered this movie. Mikey P, close personal friend of ours in the Movie Mixtape podcast, I believe, have covered this in the past. And several might have even done it recently, but it wasn't a movie that I had watched. So this is a first time watch. Danny, what about you?
First time watch, and when Proto said what it was and said it was a Kurosawa movie, I was like, oh, we're watching a samurai movie. I'm excited. And then it's not a samurai movie at all. I don't think
Got
there's
him.
a sword. There's more cowboys in this than there are samurai. So, yeah, I've never seen this, never heard of it. I think I probably have missed it even in looking at the top 250 lists. I think I never really assumed this was Kurosawa. So that's my truth. Just a regular Joe.
Maybe the cops are samurais. You know, maybe it's a metaphor.
Oh,
If you think about it that way.
it's a great way to think about it.
Thanks. Just
You're welcome.
thought of this off the top of my dome. Proto, what about you?
First time watch for me as well. I am, savoring my watches of Kurosawa movies. I've seen maybe 4 or 5, I guess, at this point, taking it slow. Don't want to rush through them. They're some of my favorite watches for the first time. But I will be honest, on Letterboxd, I was aware of this movie. I've probably read the synopsis 10 times. And every time I was just kind of like, it just never really grabbed me. It just seemed like, modern movie, Ransom. I don't know. But then, it has such great reviews. Like you said, it's on Letterboxd top 250. It has to be good, right? So that's why we're here. That's how we got here.
We'll decide.
We are the arbiters of what is good and potentially not good, folks. I've seen more than I thought. So I've seen Seven Samurai, obviously, for the show. Rashomon, Ikiru, Ran, High and Low, Yojimbo.
So you've seen everything.
I don't need to read the rest of his 30 films.
God.
I have seen more than I thought. And that's all I have to say about that. But, so we'll go around the room. We jot down some notes as we watch this movie. We rewind it a lot because it's subtitled. We're also capturing notes at the same time. We're missing scenes because we're writing our exhaustive notes. That's what happens in the biz, folks. It's a little backstory.
I just let the tape run.
The amount of things that Danny missed on this one viewing of High and Low.
Tap it out notes.
I think I read that the original, maybe this is in the wiki, but the original translation of the book is Heaven and Hell. I think I like that title better than High and Low. Pardo, why don't you lead us off in our discussion for this movie?
Sure. I think the thing that stands out the most watching this is how it feels a lot like two movies. It starts with them in Gondo's beautiful home. Gondo played by Mifune, of course. And it feels like a moral drama. And then the second half of the movie turns into this police manhunt with kind of the shifting of focus going to the detective Nakode. I will say though, I think the first half, I don't even know if it was the first half. Maybe it was the first half hour or 45 minutes. I'm not really sure how long it was. I was feeling worried that the whole movie was going to take place in this one room.
Oh.
And I was like, oh my God, this is over 2 hours long and it's just going to be them talking in this room. Mm-hmm. At that point, I was not like totally feeling that vibe. I think I was enjoying it. But like in the back of my mind, I was like worried that was going to be the state. So when the movie pretty much completely shifts and in a lot of ways kind of turns into like an action movie. I mean, we're on trains. Yeah. We're throwing briefcases out of windows. We're running upstairs, driving in cars. We're in like crowds of people. The movie really shifts and it's pretty drastic to me of like from the first half to the second half of how different it is. So I'm curious as how you guys felt about that.
Yeah. It almost felt like it was in thirds. Like the first third was like the phone conversation stuff. Because I was kind of shocked that they got the chauffeur's son back so soon in the movie. I was like, how much time is left? Like, what is going on here? What's the rest? Because I thought the whole thing was that. Maybe just for me assuming that the synopsis was literal. And then it becomes like this police procedural, almost like this entirely different movie. And then I feel like the last third, at least in my viewing of it, was them figuring out who it was and then making a decision on how to arrest him. Like, because I felt like the final act kind of was also long. Like them tracking down the dude after, like, even though they know who he is, like there's still a lot of time between them like getting his money back or making the diagnosis of who it is before the actual end of the movie. There's still a lot there, which I was surprised at. Danny, what do you think?
I mean, I feel the exact same way as the two of you. I actually was, I was ready to be out of that room pretty quick. I was really surprised at how long. When I was thinking of Kurosawa, that's my knowledge of him. I'm wanting an action film, and I'm wanting like stuff. I'm just wanting my samurai films from him, and I know that's narrow-minded of me, but that's all I know. So man, when I'm watching a Kurosawa film take place in this living room for 50 minutes, I'm just getting super antsy. Like I'm like, can we start shooting? Can
someone pull out a
I
gun,
need blood?
please?
Can someone die? I was just like, oh my gosh, what is going? Because Mifune, Gordo's character, I mean, he is worked up for 50 minutes pacing this living room. And not that I don't like it. I actually really enjoyed the story. It was just that it's a long film. And to get to the point where I'm super excited when we get on like my first point would be like the train scene. Like you put me on a train scene in the middle of a movie, it's 5-star. Like it's a 5-star. I love trains. I love a train sequence. And any film, you put me on a train sequence, they're just fun. The intensity is instantly raised. And even for this, like it's like he's in the middle of his moral conundrum of, he's still not sure he wants to give away the 30 million yen by tossing it out a window of people he can't. Like that whole sequence is it's insane to me. Mm-hmm. So when we get to that, I'm like, okay, here we go. Like, here we go, Kurosawa. I'm excited now. Like, I'm really excited to where this is headed. So yeah, like to me, it's like half. This is a 2-half film. Like it's like living room and then everything else.
I mean, I was really taken by the modern day, like low key setup. Because, this is the first time, most people similar to Danny would compare them to like samurai action films or whatever. But I love the setup of that house. I love how they were just like in the house constantly because, you have so many characters in all these shots and they all felt like long takes. The camera was all kind of like really had the whole room in full view. So he had these characters kind of moving around in various ways to create something new, blocking, if you want to use that technical phrase. So a lot of times when he's having the argument with his wife or the father, and then like the detectives need to kind of exist in the scene while they're arguing, and eventually they start to kind of like stand up slowly and like turn their back to them because it's like an awkward scene or it's not something that they should really be a part of. That stuff was insane, I thought, because there's just like so much planning involved. I mean, you have like 15 characters in these long scenes constantly. What the hell are you going to have them do besides sit there? And they're doing other things. They're like moving in and out. They're emoting to all that stuff. I was pretty blown away by the first third on all those scenes.
I heard at some point, people will point out of how Kurosawa makes his movies, and they talk about like how he always has things in motion. And like once I heard that, and like it was like in my head, it's like it's impossible not to see anymore. And like everything that you're saying, yeah, like when Mifune is just on the phone talking to the kidnapper, and the people in the background are just moving and shifting around, there's always some sense of motion. And that like continues through the whole movie. And it definitely adds some element to where even though they're just like sitting in this room and you're like listening to these people talk, there's this other element, like this visual element that's on the screen at the same time that's kind of like capturing your attention.
Mm-hmm.
The speaking of the detectives, before I forget to even say this, I kind of liked how they were a little bit of like comedy relief, not like ha-ha comedy, but like watching them react to some things that they're not a part of, I thought was kind of funny, with them hiding on the floor and when they opened the blinds and stuff like that. But for when so much was taking place in the living room, I was starting to like, maybe there's something I'm missing here. And I kept thinking these cops are involved or these people are involved because they show up in the unmarked car.
Oh, that was cool.
But then they're dressed as something else, but they never show a badge. Like they just say we're the police. So I'm like, oh, maybe they're the kidnappers. So I kept watching them, like watching their reactions, thinking, oh, they're in on this. Cause they never like identified themselves as like cops, like officially. They just kind of show up. Anyway, I love those characters a lot.
Yeah, there's also like that nugget, I think, playing at the beginning where you think that the other executives are behind the kidnapping. So
yeah, that
like
too.
Even are the police in on it in some way?
Yeah, Zach points out there would be 250 cuts per minute in a modern movie during the first part of this. And also, we've been made cynical about cops in modern day. I had some real banger cynical,
Did you?
jokey reviews planned for this movie, but I decided against it. They're a little too spicy, I think. I do have to point out our boy from Harakiri back again. And The Human Condition. I love him.
He's a great actor.
Oh my God.
He's a stud.
Yeah, when he appeared.
Yeah. That jawline?
Sheesh. I love the scene. I mean, to continue the thread of these characters doing something like behind the scenes or off slightly out of frame. But when his right-hand man comes back later in the movie after like public support has shifted to him, and he's like, "Oh, we decided to keep you on."
Mm-hmm.
And he tells him to get the F out.
Yeah.
And you can see the two detectives like finally light up their cigarette almost in like celebration of that moment. That was so well done. Danny, top of your list?
Yeah, besides the train, the other top of my list is the back part of this film, specifically the scenes where we're following who we know now as the kidnapper. Probably some of my favorite Kurosawa work. The visuals of him walking through the bar or I don't want to say slums, but what I would assume is like the lower area of this town, and the black and white is so stunning. And there's a section where I can't remember why he's there. I think he's going back to the drug addict's place, and he's hiding in the flowers.
Yeah.
He like pokes out. Oh my God. Like, stop, Kurosawa. We are flexing way too hard right now. And then he like walks and he's like smoking the cigarette. And like the shadows being cast across his face. I'm just blown away by seeing, this is also my ignorance, but just seeing like modern for the time Japan being shot by Kurosawa, and not like old samurai times.
Mm-hmm.
Like to see like the cars in the town and what he can shoot there. It's just some beautiful work. I mean, it really is. And so following the kidnapper through while they're tailing him in the car, and seeing him walk around town with the corsage on, or whatever you want to call it, the flower. It's some beautiful stuff.
I mean, is this the first usage of CGI on sunglasses in this movie when he's walking around town and then like you can see his beady reflection on his sunglasses when he's walking
when he's
through those
following
slums?
up? What's her she's having like the drug overdose, whatever.
I wrote down. I asked if it was a Sin City homage with what's his face walking around with those glasses.
Yeah, I love the shot where you first see the kidnapper, because it's following the detectives and they're looking around, and then the camera like pans to like a canal, and then you just see his reflection as he's walking by, and then like the camera picks up on him and then follows him, and then like we're off following him. There was such like a beautiful moment there.
Yeah, there's the screenshot right there.
Yes. Oh, Lord have mercy.
Wow. What do I want to talk about first? My God. Talk about Gondo and his business and his history getting to that business. I mean, the entire like shoe business conversation, I would have watched 3 hours of them.
We did.
Discussing how to run a shoe business, how to make money. I loved him just like taking it crap on the poor quality of those shoes, how they're not up to the standard, and him just like still sitting there. Also, I want what kind of like house slippers was he wearing? I was trying to figure that out.
A great question.
I didn't Google it, but they looked very comfortable. I loved him being a character that valued a high quality thing to put your name on, and caring about like it being good. And then his quiet confidence while sitting down by talking to those scumbags, and then him revealing his plan to put essentially his entire life on the line to own the company. to protect it from them. And then that leading into like the struggle of like, I can't give 30 million yen. We don't have anything now. Like we'd be finished if we do this. And just like his struggle to like marry his hard work for decades to get to that point, and then to have it like all undone and have to start over. I think that was my favorite part of the movie. Like his journey to start over, to make the decision that it was okay to start over. And then like related to that, which we can get into, this was like one of the like, not weird, but I keep trying to like think of this storyline in modern day and it just doesn't make any sense. But like the cops seeing that in him and feeling like it was their duty to get his money back. Like, and it is, I think it's like a product of the time, obviously. And it makes sense given the culture. But man, it almost like knocked me over that there's so much put into the cops working so hard to get this guy's money back. Right? It's really bonkers. Pardo, what did you think of that character in that storyline?
Yeah, well, that aspect about the cops and working so hard, yeah, they kind of make him into a hero with this. And honestly, like the way this story went, it wasn't what I was expecting. I think now at the end of it, it's like, oh, okay. Like the fact that he even put up the money, I actually didn't think he was going to put up the money.
Yeah.
I thought the way the story was going to go was that he wasn't going to put up the money. The cops were going to have to fake it. And then there would be this tension of that, like, will they kill the kid or not? And it would go from there. So the fact that Gondo actually turned out to be this really like good guy who would do this thing that he didn't really have to, was surprising as I was watching it. But I think overall it like fit the story really well. I felt like the moment that was so compelling was when he realizes that it's not his son, and he immediately thinks, okay, I don't have to put the money up now. It's like they're not going to kill a driver's kid. It's like completely changes the dynamic, but not obviously for the driver because he's like, oh my God, my son is now kidnapped. And that relationship between those two, of like this guy who has nothing, has no influence, can't do anything, is completely at the will of whatever his boss will do. And then like the boss having, Gondo having really no responsibility to do anything and like could totally leave it in the cop's hands, puts it on himself to really, give up his whole life for it. It's so masterfully done, I think, the storytelling there.
There's a scene later on when the cops come back and Gondo is mowing his own lawn.
Yeah.
And
sweating.
And it's like, it's so crazy how different it is now. Like the cynic in me would see this scene and you're like, yeah, that capitalist pig. He's mowing his lawn. Aw. But it's like, it's just frozen in a different time where the cops, you're almost empathizing with the cops. You're like, oh my God, this poor guy, he's mowing his own lawn. It's just like, it's just wild to experience it.
There was a moment where I thought he was also not going to put up the money, where he makes like a really compelling point where he's like, once I give up this money, we have nothing. And so he talks about how the chauffeur said he'll earn it back.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, there's nothing to earn back after I give up this money, because we'll be nothing. You won't be our chauffeur anymore. So like he has like this moral like dilemma where there's nothing he could do. Like he literally has to go all the way down to nothing to be able to be something for someone again. And I also wondered if the like general consensus of him, like the sympathy he was getting from like the town, if he would have done anything without like knowing he had the sympathy of the masses. Like would he actually have like gone through with everything if people didn't think that, if they started feeling bad for him.
Mm-hmm.
It was interesting. There's a lot to think about.
Yeah. Frodo, next on your list?
So after the train scene is successful, the kidnapper gets the money, gives his kid back, and is off scot-free. Which, when he said that, like, I need you to be on the train, I'm with you, Danny. Like, I love a train scene, but then also knowing that, like, the exchange is going to happen on a train. It's like, this guy,
hell yeah,
he knows what he's doing. Okay, this always works. But it was crazy as I'm watching this. Like, once he gets away, I'm thinking of, like, how are they ever going to catch this guy?
Right?
Like, there is no way they could possibly catch him. There's just no way. And then by the end of the movie, I was thinking of, like, can anyone ever get away with a crime? Like, is it possible to be successful?
Has it ever happened?
Has it ever happened? Have you ever successfully ransomed something? I don't know. Because it just seemed like the cops are all over it. And then you just see all the mistakes that the guy made as they uncover, they tie things together. That part is just, it's so fun to watch them get to solve it. I just love the whole journey.
I think I even wrote, like, once that scene where they're literally doing the investigation. What did I write? I was like, is this the first movie to ever do it? Like, it just felt like like, this is what we see in so many pieces of media today. And it was done as if I was watching it for the first time, pretty much. Like, and it was all being done so well. Where is that note? But then also, like, the pink smoke scene.
What in the world?
I almost, like, sat up and, like, took my glasses off, even though I can't see anything when I take my glasses off. I was like, what is going on here? And then I remembered back to, like, their plan with the briefcase. Like, them doing, like, all those interviews, those check-ins, it felt fresh and, like, exciting. Whereas, I don't know, I feel like I've seen, if this was an American movie today, I'd be like, oh God, this again. Like, I see this everywhere in every TV show. But yeah, really mind-blowing stuff. For Kurosawa at this point, he has the history of doing other movies, but he's, like, making it perfect in a completely different time.
Yeah, every scene where they were in the precinct, and there's one specific scene in their first, like, tracking down, and it's like, it feels like half an hour long, and it's every cop in there standing up, taking their turn of telling what they have investigated, what they're working on. I'm like, this is such a procedural moment of this film, but also I'm glued to listening to what everyone has found out on their own time. Like, it was just, I couldn't believe what I was watching.
Also, it was great to see the driver, not like great, but he still felt like the guilt, and he was, like, trying to get his son to remember everything he could to get the money back.
Oh yeah.
And I loved how those storylines connected, where he's driving with his son to see what he remembers of his kidnappers, and the cops are also kind of, like, slowly starting to piece different things together, and they're in the same area.
Oh,
that was really well done.
Yeah.
One thing I have noticed with like Japanese storytelling is that it always seems like there's, like, this level of going deeper in details and complexity of, like, willing to believe that your audience could go almost, like, another level in terms of, like, how complex a story can be. And I wonder if, like, I don't know why that is, but I've noticed that in, like, a lot of things, especially when I, like, watch, like, anime. The stories will often be, like, really complex, and they'll go really far. And this reminded me a lot of the series Death Note. I don't know if you guys ever watched that.
Didn't watch it. I know about it though. Yeah.
Yeah, but Death Note is about this kid who gets a notebook where he can write someone's name in it and it will kill them. So he takes it upon himself to kind of become, like, a vigilante. But then there's, like, this genius detective who is trying to uncover it, and he has, like, they have nothing to go on of how to track this kid. But it's been like 10 years since I watched it, but I just remember being blown away at the ideas of how you would find somebody who is committing a crime by all they're doing is writing names in a notebook. And it like blew me away, the concepts and ideas that they had to try to track someone down. And I got like the same vibe watching this of just like the level of details and the things they showed, where this kind of stuff, I just eat it up. I love like that whole sequence when each person is like assigned to one thing and they're given their details. It's just so much fun. And I love when a story is willing to kind of throw that at you, and you just kind of have to keep up with it.
One of the last guys to stand up and talk in the precinct, he's like, we were checking down the car or something, but I'll have the information for you tomorrow. And I'm like, buddy, we don't have tomorrow. We need this information now.
We need this rich guy's money back immediately. Okay? Get out there and come back tonight.
We can't let him be poor.
Danny, next on your list.
I'm going to bring up the train scene again.
Do it.
I love the tension of the train scene because I think this is when it finally kicks in that we're out of the apartment, we're on the train, we're doing the big turnover of money. And for us, we're thinking kidnappers on the train, kids on the train, the cops are hidden in the crowd. He's sitting there with the 30 million yen. It's intense. And then he gets the phone call. The plans have changed. And it's just like, yes, the plans are changing on a train going 3 million miles an hour. I don't know how fast it's going. And they have to like on the fly figure out how to, first of all, he's told to throw the money off the train. And then it's like, we have to photograph from both ends of the train. Get out your Super 7 cameras that you've somehow packed and remembered to bring with you on this train caper. And they're all just firing. Like it's just happening so fast and keeping up. And then you're trying to also like be in Gordo's shoes, like looking out the window, seeing what you can see of the people with the kid. Is it the kid? Is it not the kid? Like I love the tenseness and the excitement of that train sequence. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, those little cameras. What an idea to bring those too. I mean, if they didn't bring those, game over.
Game over.
Right? I also loved how they were like holding the camera up but like hiding underneath. Like just the camera peeking out. That was amazing. I actually don't have a ton more, but I guess maybe we can talk about the ending. Like that big, they're following the kidnapper for so long. There's like this great scene too where he interacts with Gondo. He's like looking at shoes, that shoe business, like outside. And there's just also just the tension of like all the cops realizing that they're like interacting 10 feet from them in these bustling streets. That was really cool. As also that scene is so weird at the end too, because like right where they separate, the cops make the decision to leave, to like go to the safe house, the drug house, or whatever. But right before the scene ends, a cop comes by and tells them they can't stay there.
Yeah.
It's like such a weird add-on because nothing like happens with that scene. It's just this random moment where a cop says, you can't park here. Oh yeah, okay, we're leaving. I was really hung up by that moment. But at the end, the kidnapper says that he wants to see Gondo as his like last conversation with a human before he gets the death sentence. And they have this scene, someone in chat compared it to like the Batman scene at the end. Maybe the first ever prison scene to do it with a mirror. Who knows? I haven't fact checked this, but really well done how you can see both characters reflecting off each other. And like this, I guess this is the scene where like you see how you can grow up in different areas, have totally different lives. So I'd be curious how you two thought of this being, the final scene of the movie where they confront each other, the high and low aspect of it. Me personally, it did not live up to the expectation for like the lead up. Like I was curious how the movie was going to end. I had no idea that they met each other at the end of the movie. there were some good scenes in that moment. Proto, what did you think of the finale?
You know, I feel like I'd have to see it again to really like grapple with the scene. I would say I liked it though. I felt that like the way it unravels, of how the kidnapper unravels as the scene goes on, is really well done. I actually thought of the Batman as well when I was watching this. I mean, it's kind of hard not to. And I think the final cut of him, being taken out of the room and the divider coming down and Mifune just like continuing to stare into the glass was really compelling and like evocative. I don't know exactly what, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like I don't know what my feelings are about it, but it was powerful in some way. I feel like just like the visual, the way it's presented is so well done.
Yeah, I thought it was a good ending. It's fine. I don't think I felt any deeper meaning outside of just enjoying the performance of the actor that played the kidnapper. I thought him kind of unraveling, being in solitary, and it was just a good performance. And then I was just kind of like, oh, this is where every cop interrogation or procedural has kind of taken this style from, this reflection in the glass from both characters. I mean, I don't know if it happened before Kurosawa, but I feel like I've seen this a million times over since.
Right. Yeah. Pardo, final point?
I think we really covered everything. I could just do some of my honorable mentions. Like we said, I love Gondo's house at the beginning. Especially watching Kurosawa movies that are based mostly in like feudal Japan. So you see like, I don't know what they're called, like the Japanese homes. Get off me. But like, there's no furniture in those homes. But then to see like a modern day or like 1960s modern Japanese home, and just how like the style of home is like, it's still there, like, but there's definitely shifts. Like they have chairs and things.
Imagine living in like the Adirondacks in a 1960s Japanese style modern design home. Imagine it.
I'm imagining. We talked about how the amazing shots. Oh, this house that the two drug addicts are in, they find them dead. This house would be like $5 million house.
Yeah, it would.
Right?
How are two kidnappers, these two drug addicts, squatting in this house, like with the view, like a 360 view of the ocean and Mount Fuji, like right there? Like I would die if I was there. I couldn't even believe it.
Yeah, it's an amazing property. I say this all the time, but like, Man and I went on our honeymoon 10 years later to Maui, and we did that like drive. And there are so many properties there that still have, like local people still own the property and have for decades. But if they were to ever sell it, they could sell it for $20 million. But like, it's just, it's their house. They have like a car that hasn't worked in 20 years on the lawn. It's crazy to see like them all side by side like that.
Yeah, it's wild. I thought it was funny when they were trailing the guy and Nakude like gives them instructions. He's like, all right, like just, stay close, but don't get caught. And at one point there's like 6 of these detectives who are up in his business, like grinding up against him. Like they're on the dance floor with him. I'm like, do you really need to be that close?
You got to grind it out.
You got
to grind it.
But I did like their strategy where like one guy would tail him for like a block and then he would stop and like another guy would pick it up. And they kept doing that.
Also, I love their like faux zombie drug addict mannerisms too when they're walking through the slums, where they start to just like walk, a little differently.
And then the last thing is, I didn't know so the kidnapper is played by Tsutomu Yamazaki, and he is the guy who plays Goro in Tampopo, the cowboy.
Oh, really?
Yes, and this was like one of his first movies. Like he's only 24 in this. And then Tampopo came out like 15 or 20 years later in the 80s. But this is like his first big role, I guess, the kidnapper in this. So that was kind of cool. So like just thinking of like this, like the cast of this movie is pretty nuts, and just making those connections these days. Yeah, that's my notes though. Do I give my star ratings now? How does this work?
Now's the time.
How we do this?
Now is all we have.
Yeah, I had a great time watching this. I have the Criterion disc. So the disc, looked great on my my Roku TV, my TCL.
Budget.
I'd love to, there's some, some extra curriculars on that disc. So I'd love to watch it. I think it has an interview with Kurosawa that I plan on watching. I'm at 4 stars for High and Low.
Mm-hmm.
Had a great time.
Wow. When are we going to get an unboxing of your Criterion disc for High and Low?
Stay tuned.
Yeah, that design is awesome. That's the poster I changed it to on Letterboxd.
It's a good one.
Danny, final thoughts?
I wrote down Mifune in a cardigan. Looked great in a cardigan. I did the math. 1963, 30 million was 149 million yen in 2024, which equates to about $991,000, about $1 million in 2024, which I found interesting because 30 million yen and 63, I guess, I don't know. It didn't feel like a lot once I did the math. When you say 30 million yen, I'm like, God damn.
Right.
Anyway, I'm at 4 stars as well. I really enjoyed this film. It is long. And I was really worried for a while because of how long we were in the apartment and how long it took to get to where I was like, oh man, why is this on the top 250? What am I missing? Etc. And then the back half of the film hits and I'm sailing.
Wow. I mean, it's long, but it's only one quarter Spartacus. Really?
True.
Goodness.
I think the only other note I had is like I would have loved a scene where Gondo, like the cops tell him they got his money back, but it's almost like doesn't matter by that point because he's already starting over mentally. Like I was expecting almost like maybe just a handshake or something from Gondo, like, hey, thanks for getting my money back. Like, because I mean, there's like most of the movie, they're working so hard to get it back. And I'm like, oh my God, he's going to be so happy with these cops. Here we go. Yep. Tell him you got the money back.
Stack.
Tell him you got the money. And he barely even acknowledges it. And I was like, what the? I was kind of like pissed off at that scene. And yeah, I had a great time watching this. I'm at 4.5 stars.
Oh my God.
I was really taken with the first half of this movie. Really flexing on our asses.
Goodness.
The first half. I mean, honestly, the second half he's flexing visually as well. So, really well done. I didn't even know there was heroin epidemics in the 60s. Who did anyone know? Who knew?
Right.
I know heroin was a thing in the 60s.
Looked like Kensington in there.
I will read a review. We give out a free year of Letterboxd Pro. I have not done it earlier in the show. I'm saving it for the actual discussion, maybe for the first time ever. If you want to be entered to win a free year of Letterboxd Pro, Letterboxd Patron, rather, tag your reviews 70mm Pod on Letterboxd. Max Green won with a 4.5 bang on High and Low. I read in an essay included in the Criterion presentation of the film that said many of the ensemble scenes were rehearsed for weeks before they even started rolling. And it paid off because the blocking in this movie is something else. When was the last time you watched a recent movie and saw an ensemble scene with characters seated back to the camera doing their own little thing while the action takes place elsewhere. So congratulations, Max. Free year of Letterboxd patron. Proto, any community reviews otherwise that caught your eye this past week?
Yeah, the first review that I think came through was from Josh J. He said, the water pressure coming out of that shower is unreal. And when I saw that, I was like, it's kind of a weird review. But then I'm watching the movie and I'm like, whoa, this shower is intense. And it like came back to me like, oh, that's what he was talking about. Kill for that shower. Well, let's see. There are a lot of high reviews.
Yeah.
There. We got 4.5s. I'm seeing 4s. Oh man, Mosh gave it 3 stars.
I saw that review. Scandalous review.
Oh my.
Mosh at it again. When will he be stopped? He says, not an April Fool's joke, just speaking my truth. There was also another great review that I saw. Let's see, where was it? Oh yeah, Zach gave it 5 stars. He said, this is my favorite movie starring 100 men, 3 women, and 9,000 cigarettes.
That's a lot of smoking.
Yeah, I mean that everywhere, like that house looked gorgeous, but man, the smell of that house with all the cigarettes.
Oh, I wanted to be there.
That would have turned me right off.
I would have been
nude grandmas.
Would have been nuclear war at that house with Danny.
Just me in a cardigan.
And house slippers.
100 buds.
Okay, we have 2 letters to get to. Scott was actually last week. I must have missed it. 60s month subject line. You can email us if you want. 70mmpod@gmail.com. 60s month. The Innocents. Batman 66 seconds. Are you guys perusing my Laserdisc collection? All great flicks. Can't wait to listen in. Also, most of the Plan Bs were good picks. Is there a 60s Plan B month in the works? No, but we do have the episode that, Scott, you will be able to vote on as a patron as this episode goes up Friday. Targets is a certified banger. That's my Plan BB pick. The backstory with it being Peter Bogdanovich's first film, some of the car sequences shot guerrilla style. Not to mention his head writer and wife at the time, the great Polly Pratt. Also, having to use another 60s film footage inside a 60s film. Is this a 60s film inception? Thanks for going old school in April. Keep up the great work. That's from Scott. Thank you, Scott. You have the power to vote for Targets this Friday, April 5th.
Let the campaigning begin.
High and low subject line coming in from Thomas B. Hey guys, I loved the film. When that pink smoke appeared on screen, I nearly jumped out of my seat. How about those cops thinking 15 years wasn't enough time? That lady's dead now. They really left her high and dry. Love the show. Thomas B.
Thomas, please.
Thank you, Thomas.
Got that heroin overdose with the foam in her mouth.
Yeah.
Not good. Asleep. Not good. Let me pull up our next movie here on Letterboxd. 1966 is where we're going next week. Streaming on Pluto and Canopy. Seconds by John Frankenheimer.
The
one and only. Sometimes I like going to the IMDb synopsis.
Oh no.
I think they have, I don't know if they have like copyrighted synopsises. They're usually like only a sentence and nothing more. Quote, an unhappy middle-aged banker agrees to a procedure that will fake his death and give him a completely new look and identity. One that comes with its own price. We have a guest next week, Mitchell Beaupre. First time on the show.
Wow.
This stars Rock Hudson. Is this our first Rock Hudson movie?
It's my first Rock Hudson movie.
Get the Rock. That's what they said when they were casting. Hudson. Rock Hudson.
The wrong one. Or the right one. Say
the final boss, they call
Hudson.
him. Proto, any closing thoughts this week?
You know, I was scrounging around for a closing thought because I couldn't think of anything. And then I thought, well, maybe there's like a movie anniversary this week that I could recommend people to go and see. You know what came out in this movie? Hold please. Let's see what year this movie came out. Oh, here we go. Today, would you believe it? Today is the 10-year anniversary of Captain America, the Winter Soldier.
10
Wow.
If you're looking for something to watch to celebrate, there it is, streaming on Disney Plus.
Damn. Should we?
No.
We'll see everybody next week for Seconds. $70mm is a tape deck production featuring original artwork provided by Danny Haas. Spiritual guidance and V'ger, the robot who loves movies, provided by Pertalexis. Producer at large Dale_A. And music composed by Cinematrix. Prints and other merch are available on 70mmpod.com. This episode was mixed, edited, and produced by me, Slim. Support our Patreon for access to our VHS Village Discord to talk movies with new friends, access to our exclusive episodes in the 70mm vault, discounts on merch, uncut episodes, and a physical membership card mailed to you. To check out other Tape Deck podcasts, find the link in the episode notes. And if you'd like to support our friends at Letterboxd and upgrade to pro or patron status, you can do so with a 20% off discount using the links on 70mmpod.com. Goodbye.
This is a Tape Deck podcast.